Hello everyone, I am Aurelian, and welcome to the beginning of the series, in which we discuss the historical background and interesting facts about the vehicles of the popular game War Thunder. Today we will be starting with the British quote-unquote reserve planes, and we also have a 1.0. These are the Hawker Fury Mark 1, Mark 2, and the Hawker Nimrod Mark 1 and Mark 2. These planes are remarkably similar, with the primary difference being in the engines utilized, as well as that the Nimrod series was designed for carrier operations. Both the Fury and Nimrods were planes designed by Hawker Aircraft in the 1930s, with the Fury being introduced in 1931 and the Nimrod being introduced between 1932 and 1933. Their development was relatively straightforward, leaping forth from World War I and 1920s era designs, such as the Fairey Flycatcher. Both were single-seater biplanes with an open cockpit, fixed undercarriage, and a pair of 7.7 Vickers E machine guns mounted right in front of the pilot, firing through the propellers. Interestingly, the wings, as you can see, were strongly staggered compared to other biplanes of the time. The reasoning for this was for better visibility down to the ground and above for the pilots. The main difference between these planes, as I said before, is the engines, with the Fury Mark 1 having the Kestrel 2S with 500 horsepower, the Fury Mark 2 having a stronger Kestrel 4 which that should actually be the Kestrel 6, with 701 horsepower, the Nimrod having the 2S with 521, and the Nimrod Mark II with the VFP at 701 horsepower. A total of 92 Nimrods were produced throughout their life cycle, and 262 of the Furies. In terms of historical operational history, the fighters were considered fast, agile, and good by their users at the time. Of course, by World War II, these were horribly outdated, but for the 30s, they were decently good biplanes. The Furies saw a small amount of combat. 3 of the units saw combat in the Spanish Civil War with the Republicans, although there's no documented specific actions taken. Some were used in the defense of the city of Madrid. The South African Air Force used the Furies to good success in 1940 in Italian East Africa by using a strategy of staying away from primary combat with the monoplane fighters and using them to attack very slow Caprini bombers and strafing airfields. Finally, the Yugoslavians used these Furies in 1941 during the German invasion of Yugoslavia. Unfortunately, they were shredded by the much more advanced Messerschmitt Bf-109s and Bf-110s. Several Furies were destroyed on the ground and in the air, although one enemy aircraft was lost by a ramming maneuver performed by a Fury. On the other hand, the Nimrods were delivered to multiple Fleet Arm air squadrons, with the first going to the HMS Glorious in South America. They didn't see any recorded combat, mainly because they were replaced by the Sea Gladiator in 1939 before the outbreak of hostilities. In-game, these fighters suffer from having slow speeds and only having 2 machine guns compared to many of their peers, and the 7.7 machine guns are some of the weaker calibers compared to the Americans getting 12.7. However, they are quite maneuverable, with the Fury Mark I having 15.6, 15.3, 15.5, and 15.8 turn times. And in my opinion, they are some of the more pretty designs. I enjoy the fact that they taper down to a point. I like the staggered wing design. And honestly, they have some pretty decent looking paint jobs that are on these fighters. Now, let's see if we can get into a fight here, and we're going to be using the Fury Mark II, to display their performance in-game. We were finally able to get into a game here. It took a second, which was surprising. We are going to be playing arcade just so that way we can show off all of these aircraft if possible. Start with the Fury Mk2, which has a slightly stronger aircraft Some things I watch out for this tier are the monoplane fighters like the 6s, and things like the I-15s, which have 4 machine guns which shred you. Things like HE-51s will be your primary prey, although this J-8A is looking like a suitable fight. Carry a decent amount of ammo, probably owing to their very light 7.7 machine guns. We have a couple of incoming aircraft, such as the TBD. Try and pop up a little bit here, although the engine is not ideal for doing a stall climb like this. Try and get a few bits off here. Stall climb is not advisable, however, it worked out for us in this manner. This TBD does have a rear gunner that we need to be careful of. And there we go. Second kill on board. We do have our friend here being chased by a BF-2 slotted in here. Try to run him out. The hairball over there. I'm going to try and stay away from it as much as I can. I'm not a particularly good Thunder player, and I'm mainly just here to show off the planes. There's a MiG-3, which is very, very scary to me, and a Ki-32. Out of the two, the MiG-3 is a greater threat, but the Ki-32 has kind of jumped my sightlines here. Bits here and there. This does have a targets destroyed. Not bad. Now let's move on to the Nimrod Mark II to show off that one. I do like the plain look of the Nimrod Mark II color and the red. It is a BM2C fighting right underneath us. So we will jump in on this, even though it's being chased by some we have some pretty maneuverability. And we're going to try and roll out of that fight. I will let friendly planes deal with it. There we go. We don't want to involve ourselves in too much of that fight. Now, over here on the left, there's an HE-51 tangling with a Fury. I want to go try and help him out. Looks like it's okay, but fair enough. There's an I-16, which is a very scary plane for us. It's a lot of fast-firing machine guns, and it is hyper-maneuverable as well. But we got some decent hits on it. We just have to make sure that we stay out of his nose authority. There we go. Groups here. Make sure that we don't get caught up there. We're on the tail of a nose here. Get some decent hits. I feel like I have another hit. I couldn't have to read that. He has managed to stall himself. It's really defensive, getting kind of ate up by the enemy here. Airball. Kind of lost some of our maneuverability here, but we'll take what we can do. This JAA is looking a bit distracted. Not gonna kill. However, we now have an engine kill. We'll go for the head-on attack. And go for a soft landing. I'm going to put this after. Wood plane. Quick propeller there looking a little worse for wear. And not quite as good as I wanted. Probably made the pilot throw up, but it is what it is. Game to him. We can go to the Nimrod Mark I now. And once again, we're going to try not to jump into any dog piles that we can. I love this paint job on this with the checkered design. It reminds me of a World War I plane. Maybe we were flying around in Fokkers and Sopwith Camels. Instead, we were in Nimrods and HE-51s. See the tail hook there up under the fuselage used for those carrier landings. We have the altitude authority here. Choosing our targets here, the biggest threat is going to be that I-15 in my opinion, with his 4 machine guns. So we're going to dive in there when they're on the tail of this 26 and try and help out our ally. KI-27 is a monoplane, so both of these are decent threats to us. But to me, the I-15 is more because he is also very good. A bit of lag here, throwing my shots as per usual. This wouldn't be me without him. KI-27, which has got some hits on us. We're going to stay on the tail of the for us. Good game to the KI-27. Very good plane at this BR. Last but not least, we have the Fury Mark 1. Now, I don't have these planes spaded entirely, which is fine. Somehow that P-26 down there survived. Oh dear, that was an unfortunate trade there. Let's go and help out again with the IPT. Maybe this time we can be a little bit more successful with our fight here. Oh, there we go. Got second place. Not my best match, but also not the worst. A decent round for the arcade. Alrighty, well, I hope that you all had an excellent time learning about these very fun, very pretty, but not that good biplanes. I'm Aurelian, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.